Well, would you look at that? Another week, another lost piece of evidence in the Jeffrey Epstein case. How convenient. Seems like every time someone tries to open that black book of secrets, the pages mysteriously vanish, the names get redacted, or the cameras malfunction. At this point, it's starting to feel like a bad Netflix conspiracy thriller. This is literal BS, and I'm Rob. But here's the thing. This one's real. And the cover-up is happening in real time right under our noses. So today, we're ripping the mask off the so-called Epstein client list and asking the question no one in power seems willing to answer. Who the hell is on it, and why are they still being protected? Let's start with the obvious. Epstein didn't kill himself, and he damn sure didn't run an international sex trafficking ring for the elite by himself. Yet despite years of investigations, sealed court documents, and enough flight logs to fill a library, not a single high-profile individual has been publicly prosecuted for participating in his operation. Think about it. A man with ties to presidents, princes, tech billionaires, Ivy League schools, and Hollywood's A-list dies under suspicious circumstances in federal custody, and the justice system shrugs it off because exposing the full list would blow a hole through the center of America's elite class. We're not talking about some low-level cronies or anonymous donors. We're talking former presidents and the one in the White House now. Celebrities with household names. Tech giants and finance kings. The names that appear in Epstein's flight logs and contact books read like a guest list at Davos. The problem is that association isn't prosecution. And so far, the media has used that gray area to bury the story in semantics and distraction. Let's break down what we do know. Flight logs from Epstein's private jet, nicknamed the Lolita Express, have been publicly released in part. Names include Bill Clinton, who reportedly flew on Epstein's jet over 24 times. There's Prince Andrew, who has been named in lawsuits and accused by Virginia Giuffre. There's Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's former lawyer, who has been both defender and accused. Billionaires like Les Wexner, former CEO of L Brands and the man behind Victoria's Secret, had disturbingly close financial ties to Epstein. Then there's Bill Gates, who met with Epstein numerous times even after his conviction. Something Gates himself admitted was a mistake, although conveniently vague on details. Now let's talk about what's missing. Where are the indictments? Where are the subpoenas for these powerful men and women who kept rubbing elbows with a registered sex offender after his 2008 sweetheart deal in Florida? And speaking of that deal, let's not forget Alex Acosta, the former U.S. attorney who cut Epstein a non-prosecution agreement that let him serve just 13 months in a private wing of a Florida jail, with work release 6 days a week. That same Acosta would later become Secretary of Labor under Kankles, until public pressure finally forced his resignation. Funny how favors work in Washington. But it's not just politicians and billionaires. Judges have sealed documents, courtrooms have ignored or stalled, and mainstream media outlets like ABC and NBC were caught killing stories about Epstein years before his 2019 arrest. Project Veritas even released a leaked video of an ABC anchor admitting the network squashed her Epstein investigation for lack of evidence after pressure from Buckingham Palace. You mean to tell me that a sex trafficking ring operating for decades, with hundreds of victims, and connections to global power players just didn't have enough evidence to make the air? Sure. And I'm the Queen of England. Here's what no one wants to admit. The list isn't being hidden because it doesn't exist. It's being hidden because it's too dangerous to reveal. We're dealing with a power structure that protects its own. If the full Epstein network were exposed, it would likely take down sitting judges, corporate executives, intelligence assets, and political donors from both parties. So instead, we get limited hangouts, small disclosures, dead ends, and media distractions designed to make the public forget. They count on our attention spans being shorter than a TikTok clip. Meanwhile, Ghislaine Maxwell is locked up, recently got moved to some minimum security prison, and managed to work out a pretty decent deal for herself after getting nailed for trafficking underage girls. Let's not forget the victims. But here's the crazy part. She didn't give up Trump or anybody else. Think about that for a second. We're talking about what's supposedly the biggest human trafficking bust ever, and somehow the only person who goes down is the woman who helps Epstein. Where are all the men who were clients? Did they just disappear into thin air? I'm not buying it. This whole thing feels less like real justice and more like putting on a show to make people think something got done. And as for those on the list, many are still out there giving speeches, writing books, and collecting awards. Some sit on boards of companies. Some appear on talk shows. Some are pushing policies that affect your kids, your money, and your freedom. And all the while, Their connection to one of the most grotesque criminal operations in modern American history has been scrubbed from the record. So what now? The justice system won't touch them. The media won't name them. And Congress sure as hell won't investigate them. So that leaves independent journalists, citizen watchdogs, and platforms that still give a damn about truth. We keep the story alive, we demand transparency, and we refuse to forget. Because silence is complicity. And in the case of Jeffrey Epstein, there's been far too much silence for far too long. So next time someone tells you the system works, ask them where the Epstein list is. Ask them why victims are ignored while the powerful stay rich and respected. Ask them why justice seems allergic to money and fame. Because until that list is unsealed, until every name is made public and every accomplice held accountable, the message is clear. If you're rich enough, famous enough, or connected enough, you can get away with anything. Even trafficking children. This is literal BS. See you next time.